Good morning, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut here with Mike Kelly, and we're Real Estate Jerky Daily. How you doing, Mike?
We're doing it daily. I'm doing it good. I feel good.
How do you?
I took some Adderall with some heroin, and I'm having a trip. And can I pay attention to all of it?
And chase it down with some whiskey.
It was some whiskey.
Yeah.
So what's going on this morning in the world of real estate and lending?
Well, not much. I've been watching the thing that's going on over in NATO area. They had the whole thing the last 2 days for NATO, and listening to the president's press conference with Marco Rubio and Pete Hestage, and it was really good.
Yeah.
President Trump's gotten all countries to pay 5% towards NATO, which has been unheard of for the last 30 years.
Yes,
except for Spain.
They just said now don't want to.
So Trump said, that's okay. You'll just pay more in tariffs.
Good. Good.
And that two reporters were from Spain in there talking. And he just said that everybody else is doing it. You guys should do it also.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to, this is what we're going to do. We'll just charge you more for our tariffs.
Right. Well, and this or that, it's called negotiations.
What's NATO? You should be putting in money to help protect your country. That's what the whole.
It shouldn't just be the United States and maybe England.
Well, it's really the United States.
I know.
The rest of them have not been putting in the money. It's Trump who said in his first term got them to actually start doing it, but then they didn't keep doing it. Now it's like, come on, let's do this. That way you guys can protect your own self. You don't need us to protect you.
Right.
And if you guys do that, it'll be a more peace. Let's get peace in the world. And they were hitting him up. What about Iran? Are you going to do this? And he's like, no, they can sell their oil. They fought a war. Great. Right. Both sides did the best they could. And they need to rebuild. They need to get the oil and sell it and rebuild. And that's what it's just a different take on it than other people have taken it.
Yeah.
He doesn't
hard stance.
Right. He does. Well, he also doesn't take it personally that two people are fighting. He's just like, you're in school and two kids are fighting. You walk up, like, dude, stop, man. Now shake hands and let's go figure out what we can do
towards peace and towards
peace in the world.
Fine.
Right. So you have numbers. Why don't you go ahead and do your numbers?
Oh, but they're exciting.
Are they? They sound like it.
Watch, listen. Are you ready for this excitement?
Snap, crackle, pop.
Snap, crackle. That's as large as I can make it before it gets too large for the screen. So 867 active listings in all of Stanislaus County. Now that's up probably about 150 from last week. And the pending sales, they just hang out in the 350s, 360s. 1649,
286,
280. Well, see, we're creeping up on the average. The monthly.
We were 286 last week.
We were 270 last week. Is what my memory tells me.
And that would mean that you should start writing that stuff down. You got a pad there.
I do got a pad. I even got a pencil or a pen. I'm seeing an increase in listing inventory, and it seems that they're, the 7 to 8 days on the market, which was fairly average for a well-priced listing, is starting to turn into double digits, like 14 days or so. But the activity is still pretty prevalent, pretty good. That was it. That's all I'm going to share.
That's sad.
Except if you want to talk about the Compass and Zillow.
Well, we can get there in a minute.
That Chuck brought up yesterday.
Yeah, let's do that at the end.
Cool.
So the Dow's down about 102 points overall.
I didn't even look this morning.
I can just look over the corner of my eye. I have that one monitor turned into a TV.
There you go.
The rates have given back about 5 basis points, so rates have gotten a little bit worse today. Actually, end of the day yesterday, I would lock somebody, and the difference from the morning to the end of the day, and there wasn't much movement, so I don't know what happened. It was almost a $2,000 difference in cost.
Wow.
Yeah. For that one price, that one interest rate. And I showed them all the difference. I said that we go as low as 5 and whatever, which costs $45,000, all the way up to 8 1/8, where you get this amount of money towards closing costs. So let's look in the middle here. And they were like, what? Because they're new first time buyers.
So they were pleased.
Well, I go and let's lock it, because I moved so much for me today. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I messed up when I priced it. I don't know, but it just worked out.
Probably not.
The 10-year still sitting around 4.31, opened at 4.30, just sitting there. So, the 10-year is not really moving much. They're still beating up on Powell, saying that he needs to go, that he is not doing what needs to be done. Well, there could be inflation. Well, Trump said today, I told him, all right, if there's inflation in a year from now, raise the rates.
Yeah.
But they have to, they did a lot of short-term debt in the
Right.
last administration that is coming due. And because of where the rate is right now, instead of lowering it, it's going to cost $900 billion.
Well, that's not bueno.
So if they could just lower the rate, it wouldn't cost $900 billion. And so that's why he's like, we need to lower this so we can go ahead and refinance this debt. And that's, I think, what the whole goal is. It's not overall interest rates, because what the Fed does has nothing to do with interest rates,
right?
Which that's the short-term rates.
Short-term,
but all that will
overnight.
help over time for everything else.
When was the Fed created? Was it after the big crash or before?
I would say after.
Okay,
I don't know exactly,
and
but
by the three biggest bankers in the world, like the Rockefellers and those guys.
Yeah, well,
there we go. I asked a good question. Because I forgot to research it yesterday after talking to a buddy, my cousin.
Well, I'll come up in a second. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about new home sales.
Okay.
Contracts signed on new homes fell 13.7% in May, down 623,000 annualized pace. So it's down to a 623,000 annualized pace. A notable slowdown in buyer activity on new homes. Wow. Inventory climbed up to 1.4% with 507,000 new homes still on the market. And that's new homes, not existing homes.
How many?
507,000 nationwide. However, the median new home price rose 3.9% to 426,600, suggesting builders may be focused on higher end products or passing costs on to borrowers. I think they're adding the cost of the $25,000 that they're giving you to buy the rate down onto your purchase price.
Absolutely, 100%. And the so-called paid off solar.
All right. So the Federal Reserve, often called the Fed, was created December 23rd, 1913. It was established by the Federal Reserve Act, signed into law by President Woodrow Wilson in response to a series of financial panics, especially the Panic of 1907. That highlighted the need for a central banking system to ensure financial stability in the U.S. The Fed's original purpose was to provide the nation with a safer, more flexible, and more stable monetary and financial system. Over time, its responsibilities have expanded. Today, the Fed key functions include monetary policy, supervision and regulation of banks, maintaining financial system stability, and providing financial services to the government and the banking system. There you go.
Oh.
I had my assistant researcher while we were talking.
Yeah, she's fast. Chad. Fast.
All right. So we talked about new home sales. Mortgage applications came out. So overall application volume rose by 1.1%. That means one more every out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
Purchase applications flat week over week, but up 11% year over year. That really doesn't mean anything, because a year ago we weren't really doing much.
Right.
It was worse. A good sign for sustained this is funny how they add this stuff in. This is a good sign for sustained home buying interest. Whatever. People are buying. If is this price right, the right house, it's going.
Yeah.
Because people understand that they only come up so often.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
The refinance applications are up 3% on the week and stronger, 29% higher this time last year, which doesn't really mean much, because if you go back to September of last year, it was up 220% because rates had dropped.
Right.
So we're just kind of stuck here in this lull where people are buying homes, but it's not setting any new records.
Yeah. And last year, September was like the first 2 weeks of September, right?
Yeah, it was gone. Right.
And then, it was gone. Then they talked on the 18th and everything went.
Yeah. When everybody said, I'm going to wait until 18th to do this.
Yeah.
And then 18th came and the rates went through the roof.
Yeah. Because they talked.
Right. But they're waiting for a rate cut. Right.
Well, but they're talking about the Fed again, which has nothing to do with long-term rates.
Right. But it does affect, they sometimes go down the same road, but in a different direction.
Exactly.
But the war didn't do much. This, if it's called a war,
because it was
to rates, it was really what they called a 12-day war. And according to not everybody, but like AOC, we have to impeach the president because he went into war. No, he didn't. He did a military action.
Yeah. Like Obama and Clinton and Bush and who else? Every other president.
Yeah, because if they don't have to go to Congress if it's a military
action.
Yeah,
right.
That's not a war. That's why even Vietnam was not even a war. It was an action.
Police
But we
action
have-
at first, yeah.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if you go back, there's other countries talking about all this different stuff, and they have a totally different take on things, which
Yep.
is how things are. And who knows what the right thing is? I just know that I'm here to help you. That's all I know.
Me too. I'm here to get you in escrow and close the escrow too, unless you're just completely opposed to closing and you just want to waste time.
And
But-
if that's the case, go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It's a sad time, but I'm not sad. I'm a happy boy.
All right. Good.
So
you were going to talk about
I wanted to talk about the Compass and Zillow lawsuit. So Compass files a lawsuit against Zillow because Zillow says we're not going to advertise your pocket listings. We're not going to promote your pocket listings.
So what's a pocket listing?
And a pocket listing is when you've got this listing in your hand, but you tell them, we're not going to expose it to the entire market. We're just going to keep it in-house.
Trying to double end it.
Try to double end it.
For the company or the agent.
Company and or agent. And
I guess if it's the same agent, it is the company too.
It is, yeah, both. True. No, I'm going to act as your buyer, and I'm going to change companies for that short period.
No, what I mean is,
exactly.
My statement was, and for the company, well, it could be both because another agent in the office could write the offer, or the same agent writes the offer. Exactly. It's still the best thing for the company.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and they're trying to increase their listing inventory without sharing it to the rest of the world, which is kind of an agreement that we've had for many, many years, is that we'll be fair and share our listings. That's how multiple listing service started. So, but they're a big company. It would be like if not my company, but the company I work for, Remax, said, you know what, all our listings are going to go onto our website and Zillow, but nowhere else. We're not going to send it anywhere else. We're not going to put it in a multiple listing service. We're not going to use them. Period. End of conversation. It's just going to be basically a pocket listing, but we want the benefit of a larger conglomerate to promote our properties so we can get them sold faster. Just put them in the MLS. So Compass says that's not fair. You should be able to put every property on the market. That's not your business model. And Zillow says, we get to do what we want to do because we're who we are. And if you're going to have a pocket listing, we're not going to promote it. I kind of agree with Zillow. I don't agree with Zillow on anything else. I agree with Zillow. I think pocket listings leave a lot of money on the table for the seller. It's never exposed to the true market.
You mean leave on the table, which means they don't get it in their pocket. They've lost that.
They've lost that potential. It's like, okay, my neighbor across the street. Meet with them. I tell them what I think I can get for their property. I say we need to put it on the market.
This is hypothetical, right?
This is what I told them. Okay,
say it's a hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical.
Okay.
I told them, if we go on the market closer to when you need to move and you're going to retire, we'll get more money. You don't have to worry about a rent back. We'll close escrow. You guys move, and we'll get a lot of money for you. Well, they listed, and I love the agent they chose, a childhood friend of his. They put it on the market sooner. They were scared to death that they were going to be left hanging, and they sold it for about $35,000 less than what I think they could have gotten it for it. So, and all those things, they did get a buyer that said, hey, we don't have to move for a couple of months, so we'll let you stay there for free after close of escrow till you need to move. So that's a benefit, but I still think the extra money would have been nice.
Why do you think they didn't sell it for the right price? They just put it on the market cheaper, or
they put it on the market high? They put it on market, I think, at probably the right price, but they accepted the first offer that would give them the rent back, which was just at list price. I think they could have gotten more, but really nice home.
Okay, so moral of the story.
Just my opinion.
Moral of the story.
Do what you want. Do what you think is best for you. However, listen to your realtor. And I'm sure the realtor they chose probably told them similar, because he and I talked about it. Not that I'm always right. I mean, we could have gone on the market later and all this stuff going on, and they'd be sitting longer.
Could be, or they could have went on later and not sold it in time.
Exactly.
All right, I was just getting some other stuff ready. All right. Anything else you want to add to that?
That's all I got to say about Zillow and Compass. I think Zillow's in the right, but I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, well, I think that there should not. I think pocket listings should be illegal.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have those listings where I think you got to disclose completely to the seller. This is the potential. This is what you've got. If you're okay with it and the buyer's okay with it, then that's okay. But if you just say, "Hey, I'm selling your house quickly," and you don't explain every other possibility to them, that's what's wrong.
Gotcha. All right, there you go. There you have it. That's what's wrong.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with America. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have more news. Thanks for researching that whole Zillow thing for everybody.
Oh
And
boy,
Chuck didn't say anything. He'll probably say it later on your feed. And anyway, make a great day. We'll be back tomorrow. And Mike, thanks for being here.
yeah. And Chuck's probably out running 100 miles right now.
Probably. All right, make